just the whole experience. Again, we were all so excited and so terrified just to be a part of the whole world. It was more just getting to enter into the vastness of the material. I felt so much responsibility, and I still do. I get nervous when I even have to talk about it because there's just so much that we had to learn.
You would never imagine that it was a young actress who was
scared to ride a horse. Very scared to ride a horse.
No, but we didn't see it. Did you see it?
No, but to be fair, it wasn't like they were helping her out in a field, whatever. They put this big giant horse inside of a small building with equipment all around it, and they're like, sit there, you'll be fine. So if you weren't scared, it's like you're not paying attention.
What was that great blooper reel?
I had so many different versions of horse riding. I actually was never on the horse. Like when you see me on the whole scene of her with the ring wraiths or that whole situation, I'm never actually the person riding. It was the stunt person. But I had a million different versions over the course of the full 3 years or year and a half, 2.5, 3.5 years. Where one time I was on the back of a golf cart with a dead horse skin, and I had to go like this with one of the grips kicking it, and the technology sort of changed over time. Sometimes there was a mechanical Frodo, sometimes there was Kieran, who was 3'6". It was very interesting.
Yeah, I remember, the first thing I remember about Orlando relative to the character was his eyes and his posture. And the first thing I remember about John, aside from asps, very dangerous, you go first. They're digging in the wrong place, but that aside, I remember the first day in Lothlorien up on the trees, and they hadn't sorted out your costume properly, so they had this industrial-sized air conditioner up your skirt kind of a thing, and and just thinking, wow, if he survives, that'll be a miracle. But and with Liv, when Liv first got there, we all had dinner at the White Fish, I think it was called.
The Spotted Fish.
It was something White House. It was the White House.
The White House.
Yes, the other one. So I remember it had just been the boys for months, lots of locker room talk for months, and then Liv was coming. And we were going to go to dinner, and the boys were like, "Well, I'll sit next to her." No, I'll sit next to her. No, that's fine. I'll sit next to her. I'll be the one. And they just play cool, you know. Hi, Liv. How are you? Love that.
Who the hell would want to go to New Zealand to do a film that could not be filmed, to have a big prosthetic makeup on and be stuck there for 5 years for a film that would never be released? That was my feeling.
You as Denethor would have killed the project?
No. Denethor would have given me 6 weeks in New Zealand, see the place, come back and continue with life. You know, whenever we rolled into a town, there were at least 200 or 300 people that came with horses and canoes. And canoes.
Do you know why he's saying it like
Helicopters.
They in the training period, 6 weeks beforehand, they had us doing all manner of things that we ultimately didn't need in the movie. But these two had to share a canoe, and there's just this great footage of John going,
And you know that the little pointy ears blame the dwarf.
Oh, yeah.
It was really a question of balance.
There's no question. Like, you leaned too far to the right and fell in. I mean, it was like, and we all got wet.
We went to lunch and dried out, and afterwards the pairing was changed. And the elf was in a canoe with a hobbit. And guess what happened?
The hobbit sunk the boat. I don't know. Well, I'm looking at the elves. We haven't really done, I think I might have done one or two of these panels, but this is the first one we've ever done together. Yeah. And I just remember that you were an elf. You were an elf. Liv was an elf to us, this mystical creature who came in. And there's that line, I just joked about it at the beginning, but like, I get to see elves? Like, really? I get to see the elves. They're otherworldly. And that's what Liv was. And, there's a moment I think it's in Lothlorien, I can't remember, but where they're in this elf paradise, they've been healing and stuff, and Sam goes to Frodo and he says, Mr. Frodo, it's about time we get home now. Yeah. And Frodo says, well, we're here and you get to see the elves. He says, it was great to see the elves, but really we ought to get back home now. And that idea of home, of something that's worth protecting, something that's safe and natural and good, that I felt that in my bones.
I love that. I love that.
That's so. And you are my favorite character.
He's so articulate, isn't he? 100%. 100%.
And in the Goonies.
How glad are all of you that Sean Astin is on this stage, guys? You're getting pearls right here.
So if people say that Sam is Sam's the true hero, and that's not true. What Tolkien said in his letters was Sam is the chief hero. But Frodo sacrifices his immortal soul. Tolkien's a big Catholic. Frodo's the Christ figure. And it's like, oh, Frodo wouldn't have got far without Sam. Well, he wouldn't have got far without any of them. So it really, there's enough hero to spread around,
It's so funny because I've been writing it a lot this week. It's so interesting reflecting back. Oh, it's such a beautiful idea of love.
Can you say the line for us right now?
In English accent or live in? That would be hard. Rather. I would rather face all the ages of, I would rather face all the ages of this world alone than share one life. No,
I would rather share one lifetime.
I would rather share one lifetime with you than face all the ages of this world alone. Yes.
Incredible.
I need another coffee. I feel that way about my children.
John also had this insane prosthetic, which was just like too much. I mean, it was a lot. It would be a lot for anyone, but like, it was...
Consumed 8 hours of the day, really.
Yeah, and also, so this was the beginning of all this stuff as well, in a way. I don't think, like, prosthetics like this hadn't really been utilized in this way.
Not on an industrial scale.
And it was, and he had this... So he had all of this on his face, and so this is a lot of chemicals on the skin, and he'd had a really intense reaction to some of this. So, it was a lot for you. I think it lent into some of the grumpiness of the character perfectly.
What he's saying is there was one grumpy old bastard on the set, and he had to work with him.
But we mustn't forget Brett, right? Because Brett was your double. And, he was a Kiwi. He's an amazing guy now, actually. I just spoke to somebody recently.
Really?
Yeah, I had a recent communication with him because he's doing amazing stuff for the environment. But Brett was often, because of the scale difference, right? Brett was the perfect height. He was maybe 4 foot.
No,
right? About
a little taller than that.
4'5".
He's about 5
feet. I would think he was 5 feet.
You're
very tall, so everyone looks short.
He was tall for the scale, right? He was the right scale, but he did a lot of the doubling on the back of the horse and stuff, and then it was.
We all have that, but Brett, I think there was so much time in the makeup with you that we ended up spending a lot of time with Brett.
Yeah,
because Brett was the right height for their eye line.
That's right. That's
whereas when I got in there, since I was the tallest person.
Yeah.
I remember that first day when we got the armor, when we got the helmet on and the armor on, and we were going to do it on our knees, you see. So right, Gimli is now about
oh my God.
to use the axe.
get up, go get up.
I didn't need that.
For Hobbit-sized, dwarves are taller than hobbits.
And there the helmet had come off and gone over the makeup and moved the nose and everything, and it was back into makeup for another 5 hours.
Yes,
oh, dear Lord. You and that sword, that one image of her like that.
If you want him.
Stopping my heart. It was glorious.
You know what my favorite scene was Viggo and I don't know if it was the last thing we ever shot or if it's in the film. I haven't seen it in so long, but we just got to go run around and frolic in the woods together, and it was all shot in slow motion, and Viggo put a daisy in between his feet and handed it to me, and we were laughing, and it was really interesting because it was the first time I ever got to look at him as Liv and like fall in love with him in a way. There was no pressure, there was no Elvish, there wasn't
gnarly
slime,
feet he had, by the way. He'd be walking around New Zealand in the whole set the whole time barefoot.
He was
gnarliest
barefoot all
looking
the
feet he's ever. Just like we'd be in a bar and there'd be glass on the floor and Viggo's walking like broken glass and just walking barefoot through it.
And I feel like he was mad at me all the time because I didn't want to go riding horses with him all the time. All he wanted to do was go on all free time to ride the horse. His sword was in the back of the car, no shoes, and yeah. So I always thought he was a bit mad at me, but that was it was just like a sweet moment they added in later, and it was so beautiful.
Must be like, I think it must be like You Have My Bow. That was, for me as a young actor, like that whole sequence was just like, I remember sitting there coming out of drama school with all of these legends and thinking, what am I doing here? How did this happen? This is unbelievable. And, you know, how do I not lose my SHIT? You know what I mean? And like keep it together. And, but I think that moment.
Do you guys have one?
Well, there's two. One, well, by the way, if you ask me this in 10 minutes, you're going to get a different answer. Yeah. So, one was in the Stairs of Cirith Ungol when Frodo's been taken away by Bagrat and whatever Shag, whatever they are, those guys, the orcs, and I get to be Errol Flynn, charging up the stairs, swashbuckling. You know, that's for my old gaffer and Kim. Yeah, and when I get up there, you know, I'd hit people over the head with the pans, and that's great. But I got to run that guy through with Sting, and then come up behind his head, take that, you whatever. Like that was awesome. But from a performer's perspective, the moment where that was an achievement. It was what's the word? It was just like a breakthrough. One of the most profound breakthroughs I've ever had. We woke up in the morning in WHAFA, I can't remember how you spell it, but it's pronounced Whakapapa. and we were staying in this haunted castle place just at the foot of Mount Ruapehu, where we were filming Mount Doom. And we got in the van, as you do every morning. And most of the morning for Sam, it was going to be walking across the Shire and walking across Mount Doom and more walking. And Sam didn't get to talk that much. And I was like, oh, it's a walking day. And we get in, they hand us the script, and there's this speech, which I'd read and I knew, but I hadn't. I don't know. It was and. I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh my God, these are the greatest words ever written. And I'm with Elijah, and so I start doing it with him in the van, back and forth, and it's so good. I want to do it again and do it again and do it again, you know, in the van, and again and again and again. And finally, Elijah's like, I think you got it, dude. Like, but it didn't matter. You know, if you're in a play, you get to do, you know, every night for a year or something like that. And we were going to get to do this once. And it was too good to only do once. So then we're getting the makeup thing, and I'm doing it again. And Elijah finally realized, like, okay, so he just did it. And then the sun was setting, and do you remember the Shire, Mr. Frodo? It'll be springtime soon, and the birds will be nesting in the hazel thickets, and there'll be something with the pig in the verse of the strawberries and cream or something like that. And then I can't carry it for you, but I can carry you. That scene, doing that scene with Frodo cradled in my arms, it was like it was almost like the volcano, the active volcano where you could smell the sulfur and it would like rumble every now and then. It was like an antenna to the universe. And we were right there riding this moment. And Peter Jackson, who, you know, could be very direct and specific about what he wanted, and you got the sense that, you know, the bosses laid a thing and you got to do it. In this moment, he came around and tears were streaming down his face, and he just went like that, and you know, and I'm like, can we do it again? 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 Potatoes, boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew with a nice piece of fried fish.
This is Mick Wingert, and you're watching Fandom Spotlight. Be sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to have fun
and follow your fandom.